Hey everyone, it's Mel here, and welcome back to Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. So, today I'm going to be talking about how has my life changed since my guide dog retired. Hi, this is Mel Stevens. Welcome back to Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. So everyone, before I get started, I'm going to apologize if you can see the headphone on my shirt. I'm actually trying something new. I've discovered that I'm better off when I do these sit-down videos to have a microphone, and the best way to have a microphone is to use the headphones of my iPhone. So I'm trying to do it with the microphone sitting there where it is, instead of having it in my ear. So I'm going to apologize for that. So for those of you who have only recently joined my channel in the last 6 months or so, you would probably maybe not be aware that for just over 6 years I was a guide dog handler, and on the 5th of February this year, 2019, my guide dog of that 6 years, Darcy, who I've still got as a pet, actually retired from guiding duties. I will tell the retirement story of Darcy eventually in another video if you guys would like me to. It's not a story that I like telling because I'm still sort of grappling with it and trying to get it sort of clear in my head myself. But I will tell you that story of Darcy retiring in another video eventually. But for today, I just wanted to talk to you about how my life has changed in the 6.5 months now since Darcy retired, and what changes have kind of happened in my life, and that sort of thing. So I think for the most part, I'm going to say that it feels so much like I've had some kind of part of my body amputated. This dog was at the end of my left arm for 6 years. Every time I went out, I had this dog at my left hand side, and I had either his lead or his harness or both in my hand for 6 years. Virtually everywhere I went, I had him. I did go on a couple of holidays without him towards the end of his working life, and sometimes I would, if I was going out to an event that I didn't think it was appropriate for me to take him or something like that, I would leave him at home. But for the most part, unless he was ill or unless I thought it would be ill-advised to take him with me, I took him everywhere with me for 6.5 years. He guided me through changing from school to university. He guided me through the time that I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I enrolled in university. I moved into the university campus, and then by the time I had been there for the sort of withdrawal period, I actually withdrew from university at the withdrawal period. I then, tried to go to university another couple of times, and then I moved to Melbourne. So he guided through all of those kind of that decision-making process. Then he guided me through the nearly 2.5 years that I spent living in Melbourne, still kind of grappling with what I wanted to do with my life. But I was starting to get a little bit more of an idea on it then. And then eventually he guided me through finding a home here in Mildura, which is where I live now. I've only been living here for a couple of years, and he guided me through that transition from living in a bungalow in my friend's backyard in Melbourne to to living up here in Mildura, and also to having sort of decided what I wanted to do with my life up here in Mildura. So he was a really important kind of part of all of that changing, that decision process. He was just there for that whole thing. So he retiring him and not having him 24/7 by my side was sort of like having something amputated, like having a limb amputated. It has definitely reduced my independent mobility. And it has done that because I won't anymore go to really noisy, busy environments that I don't know without someone who can see. There are actually a couple of walks around town that I'm advised not to do by the mobility instructor, because there's a couple of really dangerous road crossings, and there's a few things about a couple of the routes that I would normally walk with a guide dog that sort of is really dangerous to do with just a cane, and without that kind of backup, I suppose, that a guide dog provides. There's obviously when I'm out, I don't kind of see things as quickly, and I don't pick up things as quickly. I don't go to unfamiliar coffee shops or restaurants or anything without the dog, because with a dog you can just walk into the coffee shop and say, find the counter, and the dog will 99% of the time find the counter for you. And so I obviously can't do that very easily without a dog. So there has definitely been a limit to my orientation and mobility because I don't have the confidence that a guide dog provided. I also probably need to point out to you that I was a full-time long cane user before I got a guide dog, over 6 years ago. And I was also used to being a long cane user as a person with low vision. So when I got my guide dog, I had enough vision then to still see things like contrast of the footpath next to the nature strip. When crossing roads, I could follow the lines on the boundaries of the pedestrian crossing to make sure that I was crossing the road straight. I could actually, when I got to within maybe 1.5 meters of the opposite side of the road, I could see the contrast of the tactiles on the pram ramp. So I had some fairly useful vision for orientation mobility before I got my dog, but now in the 6 years that I had him, I have actually lost the rest of my vision. So I don't have that visual clarity and that visual feedback that I was able to use to support the dog, and to support myself in my independent mobility. And I have really felt that. I have really noticed that in the time that I haven't had a dog. You know, I have been struggling, I guess, to learn how to use my newfound blindness as an independent traveler with a long cane. And I'm not doing so well at it. So that has probably been the biggest thing, has been my my independent mobility and how it has suffered, really, because I won't go to unfamiliar places without someone who can see, or without calling the Aira app, which I do want to do a demonstration of with you guys sometime soon. You know, I struggle to do unfamiliar environments. I just won't do it all. I don't even bother with unfamiliar environments unless I've got someone sighted with me. And even some familiar environments, I will use the Aira app for that sort of, to increase the fluency of my travel, to increase the my confidence level in my travel. I will use the Aira app in some familiar environments, especially familiar environments that are big, wide open spaces. So I think that that is one of the things that, when I am matched with a new guide dog, I will be able to visit unfamiliar environments more often and explore new places and unfamiliar places, which will be fantastic. And I'll feel more confident walking around town. You know, I will be able to do a couple of the routes that I just haven't done without a dog because they're unsafe, and I'll also just be able to explore new things, and that'll be really great. So that is kind of like a little bit of stuff that has changed since my guide dog retired. As you guys may or may not know, I am actually on the waiting list to get a new guide dog. So obviously when things start happening in that direction, I will film about that, but I'm not going to do anything until everything's locked in and I've heard for sure that I'm getting a new dog and stuff like that. So I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about how my life has changed since my guide dog retired. And if you have any kind of stories about how things changed for you when, if you have a guide dog and when your guide dog retired or anything like that, let me know in the comment section down below. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.